Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Nazir, Parakeh, Chapter 5, Mishnah Beis, Mishnah 2. Now, this Mishnah is really going to be identical to the previous Mishnah, and we'll see, why the Mishnah had to kind of repeat itself using a different scenario. So now we have a case like this. Dinar Zahav Shayala Biyadi Rishon Arehu Hektish. A person declares the golden dinar that I will pick up first. I mean, he's sticking his hands into some coins, and he says the golden dinar that I will pick up first, harehu hektish, it's sanctified. The Allah shal kasef, and what came up in his hand? A silver one, not a golden one, but a silver one. Right? So we've got a case of mistake. Right? He assumed that the first dinar is going to be a golden one, and that's what he's consecrating. That's what he's making hektish. And at the end, it was a silver one. Beis Shammai amrim hektish. Beis Shammai say it is hektish. It's consecrated to the Beis Hamikdash. Or Beis Hillel amrim eina hektish. And Beis Hillel say it is not sanctified. This is a continuation of the machlokes from the argument from the previous Mishnah about whether hektish tois shmei hektish, whether if you consecrate something mistakenly, is it going to be hektish? Now, just like yesterday's Mishnah, the assumption is that this guy, his intention was not, it has to be a golden one. His intention was to sanctify the first one that he picks up, that he takes out from the pile. He assumed it was gold, and therefore his intent was to consecrate a gold one. But it was a mistake because it came up being silver. Beis Shammai say, hektish tois is hektish. Even if it was a mistake in hektish, it's hektish.
Because the intention.
What?
Intention.
Not because of the intention, but because of the fact that being that it's not like he's against, so to speak, being that he's not like intentionally against this one. Like if he would have said on the condition that it's gold is one thing. He wanted to consecrate the first one. He assumed it was going to be gold, and it'll end up being silver. So it was a mistake. There's not a question. His intention was to consecrate a gold one, not a silver one. But it's not like his intention was it's got to be gold. His main intention was it's the first one. It's just that he thought it was going to be gold, and it wasn't. So that's where Beis Shammai say, and it's a mistake. At the end of the day, it's a mistake. In any other kind of transaction, it would be considered a mistake. But because we're talking about hektish, Beis Shammai say it is consecrated anyway, and Beis Hillel say not. So it's the same case. Similarly, it's the same case as yesterday's Mishnah. Yesterday's Mishnah, he said, the black ox that walks out of my house first, I'm sanctifying it. And what walked out first? A white one. So there too we had this same argument. So then the question becomes, so what do I need this case about a coin for? It's seemingly the same case as the case with the animal before. Why do I have to repeat this case for? So the explanation given is that in the previous Mishnah was dealing with an animal, and you were sanctifying it for a carbon, for a sacrifice, which is the highest level of sanctification. So I might have thought that over there, that's where we have the machlokes. There we have the machlokes, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, where the animal, here's the question is, are you making the strongest form of consecration? Maybe that's the only place where Beis Shammai said it's hektish. But if you go with a lower level hektish, like when we're talking about sanctifying coins, and we're not talking about sanctifying coins for a carbon, just sanctifying coins to make it the property of the Beis Hamikdash. Maybe that lower level consecration wouldn't work when it's a mistake. So therefore, the Mishnah tells us, no, the same machlokes applies there. Now, let's look at the next case. Chavis shal yayin shetale biyadi rishayna. The barrel of wine that I pick up first, meaning he's got a bunch of barrels, and he's sticking his hand amongst them, and he's picking up one. And he says, the barrel of wine that I will pick up first, that will come to my hand first, harehi hektish, it's hektish. Va'alsa shal shemen, and it came out, which one did he pick up first? The barrel of oil. So again, his intention was to sanctify the first. He assumed the first was going to be wine, and that's what he intended to sacrifice. But then it comes that it's not wine, it's oil. So again, Beis Shammai oimrim hektish. Beis Shammai say it is hektish. Beis Hillel oimrim ein hektish. Beis Hillel say it's not hektish. Again, it's the same argument that about if a mistake in hektish works or not, is effective or not. So here too we have to ask, why do we need the third case to lay out the machlekes? What novelty lies in this case more than the other two? And here again, the Tiferes Yisrael, commentary of Tiferes Yisrael, explains that in this case, the point is that could be this mistake Beis Shammai would have agreed is not going to be hektish, because if wine and oil are used in completely different ways, especially they're just used completely different ways. So good, you're making makdash to the Beis Hamikdash, the is property, but at the end of the day, you're talking about two things that have completely different uses. In the first case, you've got a white ox, a black ox. You can argue maybe one of them is better, right? Maybe one of them is better, but they're the same thing, right? Gold and silver. Clearly, gold gets you further than silver, but it's the same thing. Here, they're both foods, but different types of foods. They are used completely differently. Maybe here, Beis Shammai would say this kind of mistake is such a mistake that the hektish wouldn't work by it. Therefore, the Mishnah tells us, even this case, Beis Shammai says hektish. So it comes out that the Mishnah gives us these three cases because each one is teaching us another aspect, that this argument about a mistaken hektish being hektish, whether the argument applies here or not. Whether Beis Shammai would say effective, Beis Shammai would say non-effective. Each case has its separate, each one is a separate case to teach us that the argument goes even as far as each case depicts.
Can Shemin be hektish?
Sure. The thing is here that I don't think that over here in the case where he says this flask of wine is hektish, right? So what does he want to do? He wants to pour it on the mizbeach? What does he want to do? You can't just pour wine on the mizbeach. Now it could be he would be donating it to the Beis Hamikdash that glad. I don't know. It could be that he's just sanctifying its value. It belongs to hektish. Hektish sells it, or does what it wants. Hektish sells it and takes the money. I don't know what the case here exactly is, but the point of the third case is that they have different uses, and in the Beis Hamikdash they for sure have different uses, right? When you pour on the mizbeach, and when you use for menachas, you pour them into meal offerings. But either way, they have a different usage, and I would have thought that maybe that kind of mistake, such a big mistake, Beis Shammai would agree that mistaken hektish wouldn't work, wouldn't be effective. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos.